It's great to see you again. I'm Miss Joli and I'll be your visual artist for this lesson. Today, we're going to be talking about the social studies topic of landforms in Africa and, of course, Egypt's Nile River. We're going to create a landscape artwork portraying the African landscape. The materials we're going to use for today are sheet of paper, pencil, eraser, and a box of crayons. My question for today is, where is Africa located? Africa is huge and diverse, and it is as diverse as it is huge. Africa is the second largest continent in the world and has a population of 1 billion people. It also has 11.7 million square miles. It's only second in size to Asia and also Asia's population. Africa is surrounded by major bodies of water: the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and the Indian and Atlantic Oceans. The Sahara is an Arabic word for desert. It's the largest hot desert in the world. It has 3.32 million square miles. That covers most of North Africa. The surface of Africa has sandy sheets and dunes, sand seas, gravel-covered plains, rocky plateaus, abrupt mountains, shallow basins, large oases. Vegetation in the Sahara is limited to oases. And riverbeds usually dry out sometimes in the rainy season. And also if you have the highlands. They have plateaus. That's a fairly level ground as related to the surrounding areas, or lowlands. Africa itself is elevated land. It is a plateau. So most of Africa is a plateau of old hard rock. Tectonic plates located in Africa's eastern region are pulling and being split apart, moving away from each other, and creating the highest elevations and the deepest lakes in the world. The Eastern Riff system is 4,000 miles long and it's 30 to 40 miles wide. And that's where they have the Eastern and Western Rift Valley. So they have a lot of valleys and lakes there. One of the most unusual landforms of Africa is because it has this area, and they have the two faults, and then with the steep sides, and the faults sink and it forms a valley. Africa does not have many mountains. The Atlas Range lies in the northwest coast, and it's a continuation of mountains from southern Europe. Along the east coast, there are also some mountains as well, but they also tilt up edges of the plateau, compromising most of Africa. Mount Kilimanjaro in East Africa is an extinct volcano, a volcano that is dead or is finished erupting. Flooding from Africa's mountain lakes empties water into the Nile. The Nile is the longest river in the world. It flows through Egypt into the sea. It's also one of the mightiest rivers on earth. The Nile emerges from Lake Victoria and flows downward through the Sahara Desert and empties into the Mediterranean Sea. The Nile is the longest river in the world. Its riverbanks are fertile with millions of inhabitants. It is the most densely populated area in the world. The Nile has the second largest delta. The Nile River is 4,132 miles long. It's the longest river in Africa. The largest lake is Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is the largest lake in Africa and the chief reservoir of the Nile River. It has 26,828 square miles of fresh water, 2,000 miles of coastline. It's the largest freshwater lake in the world. Victoria Falls is southern Africa's waterfall. It's among the greatest in the world, and it's located along the Zambezi River. It straddles the borders between Zambia and Zimbabwe. The water plunges some 355 feet down. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to do is write your name on your piece of paper. Everybody has your paper out. Write your name on your paper. All right. And I'm going to be doing mine, of course, in marker because you can't see it if I do it in pencil as well. So I'll do it that way. And let's see. Here we go. The first thing we're going to think about is we looked at some pictures and we saw the desert and we saw mountains. We're going to go ahead and put that volcano, the one that's sleeping. No, it's not sleeping anymore. It's extinct. So that's Mount Kilimanjaro. So remember the picture that looked like this? That's Mount Kilimanjaro, and I'm going to go ahead and draw it on my artwork. I'm going to take the top corner. Now, when you're doing your artwork, if you decide you want to put it in another direction, another place, go ahead. I'm just going to put it as we did it in our artwork, as it would possibly kind of come close to being in Africa. So we have and it's the highest point for Kilimanjaro. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it out here. Let's see. And then they also had some Atlas Mountains. And here's our mountains. We're going to put some mountains here. They're not going to be the same size. Some of them will be pointy, some of them won't be. That's the very top corner of Africa, all the way to the northwest area. Okay, and let me go ahead and pull this all the way across the side. We also had the plates, the plateaus here. So let's go ahead. Remember that great big rift? Here's a great big rift, and we're going to go ahead and do some little wavy lines coming down. And I'm going to do this here on this side. So this could be a great big plateau. Remember, all of Africa is raised. So just imagine that. So Mount Kilimanjaro is even higher. Remember, because it was a volcano. All right, so in Africa, they have Lake Victoria. So I'm going to go ahead and put us a little space here, somewhere in the middle here. It's more towards the east side of Africa. But, and remember, the mountains feed into it. And there's some other mountains that sometimes it takes the overflow too. And it's going out to the Nile. Here's my river. It's going out to the Nile, and here's my water line. So if this is the river, it's going into the what? What do you think? It's the sea. It's actually here it's the Mediterranean Sea. And it's a little delta area. So this is a lake. They also have some other little lakes. Remember, because of the rift, the rift is like a great big tear, a crack in the earth, and when they kind of split apart, sometimes one side gets higher than the other. That's what causes the little valleys to kind of come down. But they had some spaces here where it was in the lake. So this is actually the deepest lake in the world here, and then we're going to go ahead and I'll put some falls right here. I think I'm going to put the Victoria Falls down here because it is southern Africa. I'm not quite doing this true to form. I want you to show me what you know about the landforms that we were looking at. So from here, and we have the Sahara Desert that's over here. So we're going to have some little rolling sand areas, sand dunes. Sometimes they have the little hills and valleys too because of the sand. And oh, by the way, in Lake Victoria, they do have islands. What's an island? Oh, an island is a piece of land that is surrounded by water. So in Lake Victoria, they have a whole bunch of islands. So I'm going to put a few right here just to represent that they do have islands. And it's right here by water. Remember, this is fresh water. So what do you think I'm going to color it? It's going to have a lot of vegetation, a lot of greenery. So that's going to be my little islands in the lake. You can have islands in lakes and also in the ocean. All right, and this is, let's see, some of my little low-lying areas. It could be down here. I might have some over here. I know they have rainforest, so this is going to be my area where I'm going to put like a little rainforest area. It's low-lying, it's low, and maybe some more low areas in here, and they have some on the side out here. They have, on the edges of Africa, they do have some low areas. So, the first thing I'm going to need to do is go ahead and start coloring. So I'm going to go ahead and take my white. I like to use white first because on the high mountain, on the high Mount Kilimanjaro, it was that volcano. It was a volcano, but it is very high up there. If you notice again, see here, see how they have the white? That's the snow on the top of the mountain. That's the snow on the top of the mountain. So I'm going to put them there. And I'm going to put just a little bit of either gray or black, either way, just coming down a little bit. See how the white stopped it from kind of showing. I'm just going light. Remember that pressure? You're only going to put a little bit of pressure, just a little bit of pressure. If you have a white, if you don't have a gray, you can use black. Remember, black and white, they make gray. And then let's see, I'm going to show you where I'm going to put. Remember what this area is called? That's the Nile River. Remember the Nile River? The Nile River. That's where it ended up in Egypt, right? It's the longest river. On the longest river in Africa. They do have some place in South America that they have long river. Okay, let's see. I'm going to come over here and think about the sand and the Sahara Desert. So I'm going to grab yellow. I'm going to grab some yellow and I'm going to put it on my desert area. And I know I'm going to have some other desert area. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit down here. This is some of the valley kind of away. It'll have just a little yellow. My valley is going to have, I'm going to grab a little gray here. Remember how it came up a little bit? I'm going to go ahead and, this is the plateau. I like to think of it as plate. It's a plate. How many of you eaten a plate, right? So the plate is raised from the table. So this is the plateau right here. Okay, and this is the areas that are raised a little bit. I'm going to just darken up the sides a little bit. I'm going to use some black a little bit later. Here's the plateau area. And right in here, that is where the prairies can be. See where they have the animals that roam all over Africa? They would be in the low valley area here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to sprinkle, or sometimes I like to say salt and pepper, little areas where they're going to have vegetation. And remember, we're high up. We're not close by it. So we may not see what is actually there. And, you know, right by the Nile, I'm going to go ahead and put greens. This is the Nile River. And this is Lake Victoria that feeds it. So I'm going to put, remember each of my little islands, I'm going to go ahead and throw green on it. And all this area here, I'm going to go ahead and just put green over it because I'm going to color with blue right on in a minute. I'm going to color with blue in a minute, and it's going to go over that. And then here's Victoria Falls. Watch, I'm going to go ahead and put some whites coming down and swirl some white around there because that's going to be my waterfall. Remember the waterfall? Remember Lake Victoria? Or the waterfall, remember? The waterfall. Look, you can see a part of the a rainbow coming out there. See? This is Lake, oops, I turned it upside down. This is Lake Victoria. And this is where the waterfall, Victoria Falls is. See? There we go. So that's going to be my little waterfall area here. And I'm going to put a little blue on top of that. I have my big blue crayon, but I'm going to use the one that's kind of, and if it goes over the sides, so what? It doesn't matter because there's some water coming out from both sections here and there. I just put a little bit, and I'm going to come back with my blue in here. Remember, right here is one of our deepest lakes, and all of this one's going to be blue, and I'm going to put dark blue on this. This is the delta where the mud comes down. You know our muddy Mississippi River? This is like the muddy Mississippi River. It's bringing all the nutrient-rich water. That's where the people in Egypt would use to grow their crops, and that water was rich in minerals and vitamins for the plants. So they, as long as it wasn't a drought where it didn't rain, they could really have their food needs met, should I say. Okay, and then this is the waterfall, and it's spewing down inside. So I'm going to just put water, like some little zigzag lines coming. Do some little curly zigzags. All right, so I'm going to use a little more green. Oops. This area here, I could say this is the low areas, and I'm going to say that this would be the rainforest. So what color do you think they have in the rainforest? What color do you think they have the most of? green. I like to color in circles sometimes. Sometimes I go one way to kind of fill up the color, then I go another way. Okay, I'm going to come back over here. This is the prairie. Remember the prairie, the flat land, the plains, should I say, the plains, the area of flat land, not the airplane you travel on, but the plains. And here's another. This is only in one spot. It's like a great big puddle, so that's a lake. Remember, the lakes are like a great big puddle. The river is like running water. It flows away from. And you know, they had mountains way out in here. I could put a few mountains if you want to put some mountains. Wherever you want to put them, go ahead. Show us what you know about it. Okay, and then I'm going to put some browns coming in. I usually like to turn my paper all different directions when I'm doing it. And if I'm trying to keep it so that you can see it, it's a little rough. See how I'm adding the dark color here? I'm going to put some browns in these areas too. But just to give you an idea, see how I have the area and I can put some black on there and just keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding color. Let's go to the mountains up here. Remember, this area has a whole bunch of mountains. See, these are all kinds of mountains. Africa does not have many mountains. Remember, this area here is where the true mountains are. A lot of the other areas, it's kind of quite raised. And remember, Kilimanjaro was not really a mountain to begin with. It's not a true mountain. It was actually a volcano, and a volcano pushes the pressure and lifts it up, almost like, I hate to say it, if somebody has a pimple, it lifts off from the skin. That's your big mountain. And you can have some browns in there. If you want to put an oasis, a little, it's almost like an area in the desert where they have trees growing because they have water there. You can go ahead and put your little oasis. It'll almost look like a little swimming hole. The Sahara is the biggest of the deserts, but I think they have like 4 deserts there. And I'm going to go ahead and put greens. And let's see, I don't know, some of this area might be green, some of it might be browns, maybe I have some mountains, I don't know. I'm just going to add some colors. See Africa? You see how it looks? Here's our great Riff Valley, and here's the Nile River. The Libyan desert is really close to the Nile, and that goes right into the Sahara. See the Atlas Mountains there on the top. That's why I put them on the top here. I just threw Kilimanjaro over here. Say if we were laying down, we'd see it, right? But Kilimanjaro is actually, you see where, right here where Lake Victoria is? That's Lake Victoria. This is actually right here on the side next to it, between the lake and the ocean area, right in the middle, smack dab on the Riff. That's where the big mountain Kilimanjaro is. And you see, you do have deserts here and here, and you see all the greenery. Of course, this is the Congo right here, so that's where I decided to go ahead and put the rainforest. Let's see, I'll put some brown. If it's elevated, and it probably doesn't see much rain unless it's by an area where they have a lot of rain. Okay, and let's see. It does have some speckled shrubs. It's not too many shrubs, but there's some. So I'm going to just put a little bit in the areas. Remember, like I said before, if you don't get to finish this, go ahead and do it when you can. We have just a few more minutes and we're going to work on this a little bit more, and then we're going to go on. I really miss working with my students. I hope y'all are all okay. I'll just put a little bit green. I'll put some brown over that. I like to put purple in my deep dark areas. This is my deepest one. It probably goes down as far as it can. And see, this is Lake Victoria here too. It's got a lot of, it is deep too. See, remember the Riff? Here's our Riff. See how it splits up? See how the valley goes? And you know what? They can have animals galore in those areas. Remember that oasis we talked about? It's almost like a little swim pool out in the desert. If you want to put one, don't forget to put your little palm trees next to it. All right, let's see. I go ahead and come out with a little more. A little more coloring. Let's see, if you want black or gray, I can start working with a little. I'm going to put the black really close. That could be where the shadow is, the shading, and some of the riff, some of the areas. The shadowing. There we go. And you can keep coloring it up. I'll just remind you, this is what mine looked like. Don't forget, you can go ahead and do your sky and put your sunshine. And I hope you had an awesome time with me. I really enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Take a moment and view your artwork. Look at your neighbor's artwork. Do you see similarities and differences between both? Thanks for joining me today. We learned so many things. We talked about the African landforms, and we also got to even see Egypt's Nile. We got to create a landscape artwork portraying Africa's landforms. As you go through your week, notice the different types of landforms you see around you. Notice the landforms you see on TV, in books, in magazines. Enjoy the rest of your day. I can't wait to see you again.